I kind of inherited the sheep industry through my uncles and my grandfather. And then I married a sheep girl that raised Cordales from the Milroy families of Huntsville. So it's been a combined effort from all the families, and it's just kind of carried down to my children, my grandchildren, and maybe someday my great-grandchildren.
Larry is probably most known for his club lamb work and the family operation. Shroyer Club Lambs is a multi-generational farm, and I know several of the generations and have been involved with several of the generations from Larry to his children and his grandchildren, who have all been involved in the industry, and so I think he brings a lot of wealth and knowledge to our industry.
Basically, I think I've been a 4-H member for 63 years. I started when I was 9, and I just love 4-H. I think it teaches kids responsibility. I always say, even if you don't win and you feed your animals twice a day, that you've learned something.
Larry and I met through 4-H, through the sheep business, and we've done a lot of traveling together to sales and shows, and certainly he's been a friend all those years. Larry's kind of a unique individual. He's very determined in his thinking. He believes in what he's doing. As we all know, in the club lamb business, they've been one of the leaders over the years, and not only in producing but in showing club lambs. Prior to the club lamb business, Larry was very active in the breeding sheep business, and what we commonly refer to as the frame sheep today. And he was a leader in the Shropshire breed and the Suffolk breed, and there's a lot of his genetics that was out there. And Larry sold sheep all over the country. Larry wasn't afraid to plunge into something and get what he needed next. If he needed that new stud ram, why, have at it. And he's probably one of the guys that kicked it into gear on buying some high-priced rams that really worked.
When I farmed, I wanted to have the best looking crops on the road. Every farmer drives by and they want to look to see what my neighbor's doing. So I guess that's competition too, really. And then at the end, if you can say that I grew 200 and some bushels of corn per acre, something like that, that shows that you're competitive.
He loves 3 things that I have witnessed from him: his family, and sheep, and youth. And when I see him, he ties those all together, and I've worked with him in the jackpot shows. Logan County hosted several jackpot shows, and he was an advocate for that. And we had awesome shows, and he works for all the kids, and I think that's what's amazing, is he knows that the youth are the future, and he really contributes and brings them all in and just tries to make it better for all of them. Where you see sheep, you see Larry.
Larry's got a lot of influence. He knows a lot of people, and certainly he knows how to get things done, and I appreciate the fact that he puts his heart and soul into whatever he does, and the sheep industry has changed dramatically since when he was a kid, when I started, even back in the 80s when I first started in the sheep, and the sheep are just so much better today, and they're so much more muscular, and you know, we try to make them right, we try to keep them sound and try to make them so that they'll benefit the industry, and I think Larry has kept up with the times very well.
There's more enthusiasm, I think, now in the sheep industry for the market lamb part or club lamb part than the breeding sheep. The breeding sheep is a lot harder project. You have to trim those animals, and where we're now in a slick shear era with our club lambs. The youngsters are going to some camps now so they get better in showing, and that's helped out. And it's like anything, whatever you do to help yourself is good. And that's really helped us out, the lambs and the industry.
Larry has been involved with the club lamb industry for several years, and was instrumental in the Club Lamb Association, Ohio Club Lamb Association, which was an organization that was one of the founders of that was Larry. And my son went to some of his camps when he was young, and trying to learn about how to show lambs and feed lambs and be successful. And my son still remembers some of those things that he learned from Larry. But Larry has been, he's been an educator, he's been a leader in the club lamb world for several years, served as the president of the Ohio Club Lamb Association when we created the OSI Lead Council, which is the youth program for the Ohio Sheep Improvement Association. Larry was very instrumental in all of that happening.
All you got to do is go on a weekend in May, June, and July and see 200 lambs and kids at a show, and you know it's because of the Ohio Club Lamb Association that these things are happening. And Larry was very influential in getting this organization going.
Hopefully some of these youngsters that show these lambs or whatever, goats, swine, go back into that and raise their projects. And this, I think that this is one way we can incorporate them and get them to raising more livestock, is to through the show. And and that's really, I learned to love it by doing it and stayed with it, and so's my son and his family and my nieces, and I'd like to think we could maybe get 50% of those youngsters that show livestock back into that industry, raising because we can use all the lamb that we can raise. We can't raise enough lamb.
I think he will be very humbled. I think he will be taken back by it. I think it's very well deserved, and I couldn't be happier for him and for his whole family. I think he will take this as a compliment, but I think that he'll think it's a family thing, not just a Larry Shroyer honor.
I think it's a well-deserved recognition of the contribution that you've made. I'm happy for you, and I think that the sheep industry appreciates your efforts and your diligent work trying to make it better for the kids in the state of Ohio.
You know, Larry, even though we've been tough on you sometimes, we still all believe in you, and this award is truly worth being called a master shepherd, and you've done that for many, many years.
I think he'll be pleased. I think that he'll be honored that the industry thought enough about him, that they were willing and able to give him the Charles Boyles Master Shepherd Award, because I think when you define what we look for in that award, I think Larry Shroyer certainly fits that profile of a master shepherd, not only from the production of sheep, but from the leadership sense that he brings to us in the industry.
You know, I've raised purebred sheep, club lambs, breeding stock. I've raised Western ewes. I just love the sheep industry.